Now I know what you guys are thinking. I've been reading your comments. Silvery, you're a cool guy, you must watch a lot of anime. Well, sorry to break it to you guys, but I don't actually watch too much anime. I find it hard to get invested in shows in general, and the massive number of animes as well as the ones with massive numbers of episodes leaves me very overwhelmed. It's hard for me to find shows that I really want to watch, but there are some animes that I've been heavily interested in. Panty and Stocking, Gamers, Kaguya-sama, The Ancient Magus Bride, and my absolute favorite for pretty much my entire life, Pokemon. But Blood Blockade Battlefront is a close second. Blood Blockade Battlefront is a 2015 anime series produced by Bones and directed by Rie Matsumoto, with the series receiving a second season in 2017. 3 years prior to the series, a mysterious rift from the beyond opened up in New York City, with the event being known as the Great Collapse. A group of mages stopped the portal and set up a barrier around the city, but by that point, all manner of creatures and monsters had made their way into the city. As such, New York City became Hell Salem's Lot, a melting pot where the abnormal and normal intersect, leading to an exciting but extremely dangerous place to live. The story follows Leonardo Watch, a young photographer who moved to Hell Salem's Lot after a previous visit left his sister blind and gifted him with the all-seeing eyes of the gods. While searching for answers and a way to cure his sister, through a series of coincidences he becomes involved with Libra, a secret organization of superhumans tasked with keeping the balance between the two worlds. It's kind of a lot to take in, but once you learn what's going on, you get a high-action, entertaining series with gorgeous animation and visuals, a great soundtrack, and the best ED of any anime. The ED alone is what got me to watch the show, but I became so entranced with the world and especially the characters that it's become my favorite anime. Out of the short list of animes I've watched, but hey, first place is still first place, and I want to spread my love for the show so that hopefully more people give it a chance. The show has a pretty mixed reception, but I think if you just strap in for the ride and try your darndest to follow along, you'll at least come out with some entertainment. But that's enough background. Let's talk about my top 10 favorite episodes of Blood Blockade Battlefront. Spoilers are going to be unavoidable in a list like this, but I tried my best to hide as many important plot points so you could still get enjoyment of watching the story unfold. Without further delay, let's get into the list. This list was pretty easy to narrow down, but for the number 10 spot, I was stuck between two episodes that work as great introductions to the series. Season 1, Episode 2, and Season 1, Episode 4. The first episode is good, but a lot of it is spent setting up the world and Leo's backstory, with Episode 2 and 4 throwing us right into the action. Either one could serve as a good first watch, but ultimately I decided on Bloodline Fever for the list.
Oh, well, the remaining 5%? They can't be seen with normal eyes. And whatever they are, trust me, they're dangerous.
The first episodes of the series show that the scum of Hell Salem's Lot really isn't a threat to Libra, which begs the question of where the conflict of the series is going to come from. Enter the Bloodbreeds, regenerative, unkillable vampire-like creatures with devastating destructive capabilities. This not only provides a much more serious threat to the series, but gives Leo a more important role in Libra by using his all-seeing eyes to reveal a Bloodbreed's name, allowing Klaus to seal them away. In addition to adding stakes to the show and expanding the ability of Leo's eyes, the episode also introduces Lucky Abrams, who is one of the most entertaining characters in the series. And speaking of introductions, this episode debuts Black, who not only sparks this episode's plot, but the overarching story for the first season.
It's more fun if you try to guess what I am. Give it your best shot. You do already know my name, don't you? Huh?
Out of the first episodes of the series, A Game Between Two Worlds particularly sticks out. It's not action-focused and it doesn't feature a true antagonist, but what it does provide is great character insight for Klaus. Klaus is the fearless leader of Libra, but he's also a polite gentleman, passionate Prosphere enthusiast, noble almost to a fault, and is not above befriending one of the most powerful crime bosses in the Alter World. Not because of his status, but because they both love Prosphere. He remains a beacon of light and hope in this otherwise grim and chaotic world. Klaus is the kind of guy who won't even think twice about risking his life for a man who, mere moments before, tried to have him killed. Most of the episode takes place in the Altar world, making it one of the most visually stimulating episodes. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested in learning how to play Crossfire. I don't think I have even a shred of the mental fortitude needed to learn a game infinitely more complex than chess. But hey, it looks fun.
You see, even if I'm struck with 1,000 setbacks, nothing will ever convince me to alter the way I live.
Blood Blockade Battlefront Season 2, known officially as Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond, is an interesting case. Season 1 adapts manga chapters and connects them to an original overarching story, while Season 2 just adapts manga chapters. I can't think of many shows that become less serialized as they go on. It's almost always the opposite case. On the one hand, Season 2's episodes are less impactful since the events of one episode are seldom brought up in the next episodes. But on the other hand, having more self-contained stories means that more characters can get spotlight. Season 1 mainly focused on Leo, Klaus, and Zap, but Season 2 gives pretty much every member of Libra their own spotlight appearance. Steven gets an episode, Zed gets an episode, heck, even the butler Gilbert gets his own episode. But let's talk about Zed. Zed didn't get a lot of screen time in Season 1. He even brings this up in one of the episode previews.
And with only 3 episodes left, I'm a little anxious about what's to come.
It's cool to have a new recruit to Libra that Leo befriends and gets to teach some stuff to. But even in Hell Salem's Lot, the one place you would think Zed would look normal in, he's still treated like an outcast by everyone. This is his main conflict in Branchial Blues. Made to feel like he's less than the rest of the team by Zap, and unable to find a job anywhere in Hell Salem's Lot.
To me, you're just another face in the crowd. Hey, sorry to barge in, boss. Wow, who's this guy? We had a new team member of the mix. So about the job. Hey, wait! Hear me out!
It's Leo's friendship with Zed that drives the story, with Leo taking a very progressive role in helping Zed after he loses his breathing apparatus, just so Zed doesn't have to miss out on the New Year's party where he could meet more members of Libra and make new friends. It's really sweet, and the lengths Leo, Zap, and Chain go through to get the apparatus back proves that Zed is a valued member of Libra just as much as anyone else, with Zap in particular having one of my favorite lines in the show.
You telling me you measure out how pissed you get at people based on who they are? If someone treats you like shit, you don't think twice about shoving their face in it. That's the golden frickin' rule.
It's a great episode for Zed, a great episode for Leo, a great episode for Zap. Chain is also there. She grabs someone by the heart while they're in the middle of brokering an arms deal to the Queen of England. I mean, that's probably all I needed to say in regards to this episode being on the list. Moving on. Another character who didn't get much screen time in Season 1 was Kekkai. She was an active member of Libra, but we didn't know much about her other than her loyalty to Klaus, distrust of Steven, and just generally being a badass. And then we get to Brat-a-tat Mom, and Kekkai's just a dorky mom.
That's out of the question. I have critical business to attend to that day.
Critical, huh? Even more crucial than intercepting a colossal criminal transaction?
Kind of. It's Parents' Day.
Are you freaking serious?
One thing that's brought up surprisingly often is that working in Libra is a job for the members, and they all have lives outside of it. It's easy to forget that since it's such an important job, and no episode puts those facts at odds with each other more than Brat-a-tat Mom. Kekkai is a mother, and she wants to be there for her kids, but at the same time, she's one of the top-ranking members of the team. It's essentially a two places at once type of episode, which is cliche, but Kekkai is such an entertaining character, and the tech she uses to accomplish this is really sick. Not too much more to say about this episode. It's fun, and I really love the fighting game visual effects when Kekkai's being berated by her sons, even though there's nothing else like it in the series.
I'm used to it by now. But Kane still expects you to keep your promises.
Of all the characters that didn't get a lot of focus in Season 1, Chain was criminally underutilized. It makes sense given the chapters that were adapted for Season 1, but Chain didn't really have much of a role outside of tracking and using Zap as a doormat. It's a shame, especially since she has such a good design and an air of mystery surrounding her, from her typically quiet and stoic demeanor to just what she is exactly. Thankfully, Season 2 is here with its character focus, and even without her own episode, Chain plays a much more active role in Season 2, being shown as just as much of a threat as any member of Libra. Of course, Chain does have her own episode in Season 2, and it's really, really cool.
They can diminish every single aspect of their existence to an infinitesimal degree. In other words, they can alter reality to only exist where and when they want to.
Werewolf Mission Chain Possible does a lot to flesh out Chain's character. We get a much better understanding of what invisible werewolves are, learn that Libra works with a whole division of werewolves, and we get to see some of Chain's life, desires, insecurities, and a much nicer side to her. The idea that werewolves can alter reality around them to make it as if they don't exist is such a cool yet terrifying ability that gets put on full display in this episode. Chain and the other werewolves have to infiltrate a missile base and face off against an old enemy who can not only see past their illusions, but will do whatever it takes to kill Chain. While this episode brings up the existential ramifications of the werewolves using their powers to their full extent, leading to a lot of provocative questions, at the end of the day, this episode is just really cool, and that's all I really need to put it on the list.
So you want me to prove how much better I am than you? Let's head for the horizon of causality. Try to catch me if you can!
The Tremorous Bloodhammer was the first episode of B3 I really fell in love with my first time watching. This is fitting given the episode's all about love. Obviously, I mean, if you're not willing to tear an entire city apart to find the person you love, what will you tear an entire city apart for?
I found you, babe! Deldro and Hammer!
This episode is similar to episode 2. Having Leo be taken captive on a monster vehicle and held captive because of his all-seeing eyes, while the rest of the team works together to stop the threat and save Leo. In fact, you could argue that it's the same exact episode, but that episode doesn't have the magnificent dog Hummer.
Yeah!
Hummer and Aligula are two of my favorite characters. Hummer is such a chipper, likable guy with easily the darkest backstory of any character on the show, while Aligula is such a delightfully fun villain, willing to casually teach Leo about relationships and love, all while destroying Hellsalem's lot to chase after the object of her desires. Every member of Libra gets to play a role in stopping Aligula, and it's one of the best episodes in terms of connecting the manga's chapters with the anime's original story. Like the last episode on this list, I don't really have much to say about this episode. It's just a really fun episode with a great villain, every character getting a chance to shine, and good development for Leo and White's relationship. It even references the hit 1988 movie Twins. Literally, what else does this episode need?
Please stop looking at me like that, man! Jeez! Are you planning to see how we measure up in our pants, too?
Paint It Black is a gorgeous episode focusing on the relationship and backstory of Black and White, told at the perfect time right as the King of Despair's plans are about to be put into motion.
Benjamin Macbeth, Emma Macbeth, William Macbeth. They all have it. Mary Macbeth, she does not have it.
On the surface, this episode is a really cute and heartwarming story about two twins who are almost complete opposites, still trying to better one another. White feels inadequate since she lacks her family's psychic powers, while Black is a coward who, despite the immense power he possesses, relies on his sister to fight his battles. White taking up photography not only gives great hindsight to her and Leo's first interactions, it fills her with a sense of purpose. Even if it's something she doesn't think is important or that she's good at, it's the catalyst that allows White and Black both to start believing more in themselves. Given the events that happened during the Great Collapse, through this feel-good story there's an air of melancholy, knowing what the fates of these two characters would become in the present day. And just as it seems the King of Despair's plan has been achieved, the episode turns around and pulls out the single most shocking and heartbreaking moment in the entire series, perfectly setting up the events of the season finale. Speaking of which...
I mean, look at how dark it is in there. How are we ever supposed to find our way home in that?
This is it. The finale the series has been leading up to. Leo is trapped and powerless. The King of Despair has control of the all-seeing eyes of the gods, and the second Great Collapse is underway. The stage is set for an epic finale, but does it live up to everything that's been set up? I think so.
You finally reached the end of your life! Didn't know that death was a place, did you?
Speak up, my cute little corpse!
I'm pretty sure Hello World is a divisive episode, but for what it is, I really enjoy it. It's got a massive setup, and I think it pays everything off. High stakes, high action, high emotion, and some of the most gorgeous animation in a show rife with gorgeous animation. Like the tremorous bloodhammer, all of the main characters get a chance to help Leo reach the King of Despair and save Hellsalem's Lot. Even the more minor characters like Patrick, Nika, and Lucky Abrams. Admittedly, some of the plot beats seem a little tough to follow and a bit familiar, but it's the grandest story this series has tried to tell, and I think it does a great job at it. I'd love to say more about it, but it's kind of hard without spoiling, like, the majority of the episode, but I think it was a great way to wrap up the King of Despair's story, as well as the first season of the show.
Oh boy, I look away for 1 second and you fall to pieces. Depression and death aren't the same thing. You'll never save the world like that.
Of all the high-octane, action-focused, and heavy story-involved episodes of Blockade Battlefront, my second favorite episode is the one where Leo befriends a little mushroom fellow over their shared love of burgers.
Holy crap, are you okay?
Excuse me, but could I please have a bite of your burger?
You're panhandling?
The biggest strength of Don't Forget Me is its world building. The first 5 episodes of B3 pit the abnormal against the normal, with creatures from the Alterworld being the driving antagonistic force of each episode. This episode shows that, while the Great Collapse has led to a ton of dangerous forces being unleashed onto New York City, a lot of these creatures are just normal people. Ghetto Heights is a great new location in Hellsalem's Lot, showing how even though Beyondians are mostly integrated into normal society, they're still treated as lower than humans and don't get to partake in even the simplest of luxuries, something that's put into focus thanks to Nej. I love everything about Nej, from his simple, lovable design, his friendliness and excitability, and his surprisingly tragic life. Nej is just an incredibly endearing character, which makes it even worse that he's a first-hand representation of how poorly Beyondians can be treated in Hellsalem's Lot. This conflict is further exemplified through the main antagonists of the episode. Instead of the 13 kings, bloodbreeds, or Beyondian criminals, the main villains are just regular humans. In this world of superhumans and all manner of otherworldly creatures, having the villains be regular people driven by prejudice, fear, and greed helps to not only humanize the Beyondians, but also makes the world feel more nuanced than just humans being good and weak and Beyondians being evil and powerful. All told through a heartwarming story of Leo making a new friend, great insight from side characters, surprisingly brutal twists, and a beautiful ending that is the perfect balance of bitter and sweet. I think episode 1, 2, and 4 are better episodes to watch if you want a good introduction to the series, but if you want to see the best of what B3 has to offer, I highly recommend giving this episode a watch.
After this, when we get out of here, let's go eat some burgers in the park, okay?
You got it.
One of the worst feelings when a show you like finishes its latest season is when the future of the show is completely unknown. B3 is still popular in Japan, so maybe it could still get a 3rd season. It's not unheard of for anime seasons to take years to be renewed. The future of the B3 anime looks unclear, and while the manga is continuing strong, if we never get another season for the anime, then I'm glad the show ended with Spectral Eye's Phantom Vision. This is the ultimate finale for B3. Not for any big arc setup like in Hello World, but it's the perfect finale for Leo. After not calling his sister, the reason he's even in Hellsalem's Lot to begin with, he finally calls her and her fiancé for a visit. This is it, the big emotional moment we've been waiting for since the very first episode. What could possibly ruin it?
And of course, I'm the only one who can see this.
The conflict in this episode is just simply the strongest the show has ever done. Time and time again, Leo's importance to Libra has been shown and reaffirmed, but he still usually plays a support role, whether it's deciphering Bloodbreed's names or providing visual support for his allies. This episode throws a villain at him who also possesses an all-seeing eye of the gods that can create illusions to disguise himself and his actions from everyone around him, and has the biggest hostage to get Leo to do whatever he wants. It's the ultimate trial for Leo. He can't rely on his friends to bail him out. He has to be Gamimozo by himself, and it's pretty spectacular if I say so myself. The story is great, the animation is gorgeous, the music is sublime, everything comes together to make this the perfect ending to the series, while still being open-ended enough for a new season. If this is how Blood Blockade Battlefront's anime legacy ends, then I couldn't have asked for a better ending.
Hello, Miss Shayla. I'm glad you got to meet my friends.
Thanks for watching. I hope this video inspires at least one person to give this show a chance, but if you found this video the slightest bit interesting, then hey, that's enough for me. If you want to see more anime content from me, let me know what shows I should watch. I'd love to expand my knowledge of anime. Until the next video, I hope you all never stop moving towards the light.